Hi everyone, welcome to Morning Matcha. Today's guest is Biet Simkin, and we're really excited to be here with her today. She's a spiritual teacher and an author of the book Don't Just Sit There. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to finally be connected. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I had no idea you were moving to LA. So.
I know. I was like, and then she's coming here. I was like, no, let's just do this.
Yeah. So perfect. And then we have a panel coming up, so
yes,
I'm excited to get to know you.
So exciting.
Yeah. Well, okay. I know your story is just unbelievable, and I just kind of want to start from before you became a spiritual teacher.
Yeah.
Your background is very interesting. So tell me a little bit about you, where you were born, and a little bit about your teen and early 20s and what you had gotten into.
Sure. My father was an awakened shaman. So for some people growing up, like, you know, maybe you're like on a quest later in life. It's unusual, I think, to start meditating when you're in diapers, which is my story. But I had a really tragic life, as you know, and so like my whole family passed away while I was growing up, starting with my mom. And it made me extremely depressed, for anyone who's watching this and knows that feeling. Like, it's not something that you're like, oh yeah, mom's dead, like no big. Like, it just goes into this very, very dark place.
How old were you when she passed?
6.
Wow. And was it like sudden or?
Sudden. She had pancreatic cancer, which is like this cancer that comes out of nowhere and then kills you instantly. So she was kind of like the core of our family. Like, my dad was this very, I guess, again, awakened kind of dude. So he was just like wax on, wax off. Like, his whole thing was metaphysical. He didn't care about money or real estate, or he didn't care about anything other than like wisdom, knowledge, and sex. He was kind of like into the sex thing. So anyway, I did that. I studied with him my whole life. So I was meditating, I was reading esoteric texts from the time that I was a little girl, and I really got it. Like, you know, it's interesting because you can have, like, my dad had 2 kids, my brother and I, and my brother totally doesn't give a shit about any of these things. He's like super into other things. And so,
where did you grow up?
Jackson Heights, Queens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Queens. We immigrated from Russia a month before I was born, and so we had no money. And in addition to like being first immigrants, also when you are immigrants, like, you still have a chance, right? Because you're like, you know, my dad and my mom were both working 2 jobs and all these things. But when everyone starts to die, it sort of puts a little bit of a wrench in the plan, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So she passed when you were 6, and then your dad was taking care of you guys, and you were teaching, or you were studying under him.
Yes.
And then
I got signed to Sony when I was 18 because I'm a musician. So I turned all of that like anguish into music. And
did he pass before that?
No,
or?
My dad was around. Yeah,
Okay.
Him and I lived together till I was like 26 years old, and because we were best friends, and by then we were like drinking together, and you know, it was like a party house. My father was like this jazz musician, awakened shaman who would like sit in the kitchen with all my friends and preach his gospel. I mean, he was really special. He was a very rebellious person, but he was so authentic in what he brought. I think that's really what makes a great teacher too, is authenticity. Like, it's not, there was no hypocrisy. Like, what he said is what he was. So I got signed, and then I just did sex, drugs, and rock and roll for the next decade.
Wow. What were you signed for? Just what kind of music?
It was sort of like Cat Power meets Stevie Nicks. You know, it's still the music that I make today, except now I do these more ethereal sounds because I score my meditations with my own music. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I know,
need to
to
go
get
to
all.
one.
Oh, you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're up to.
So you got signed, and then you went down that path.
Yeah.
You said you were on heroin, or?
Yes. Not initially. I was just drinking a lot, and then I found coke, and then I almost died. I had a near-death experience, and then 2 years later, I had a baby. And I don't know if you know this part of my story, but
okay, you mentioned a little bit when we talked, but I don't know. Was this at a time where you were not clean? Like,
I was not clean when I got pregnant.
Okay.
And then I got clean to have the baby. And then she was born 100% healthy, but then 4 months later, she died of sudden infant death syndrome.
And were you with your husband now? Or
no, definitely not. I was
else?
with someone very different.
And then?
She was with him, actually, when she passed away.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and I was like in the other room, and he brought her dead to me. Yeah.
And what happened mental health wise with you? I mean, how do you handle something like that?
Heroin. Lots of heroin.
Is that when you got into it?
I was into dabbling in heroin prior to that, but once she died, I really full stop became like a full daily heroin and cocaine user. And I was hoping that that would cure the sadness that was inside me from that. But then things just got worse and worse. Like shortly after my baby passed away, my house burnt down. And then shortly after that, one of my best friends hung himself. And then shortly after that, my father died suddenly of a heart attack. So it was kind of like the universe was like, you are on the wrong path. This is not what we're trying to do here. And I was very rebellious. Like I was like, I'm not doing what you want me to do.
Yeah.
So, and I also felt very entitled and at that time I was very selfish. I would be what most people would call an alcoholic, you know, and whatever the descriptions of that word mean, right? Like selfish, self-centered, entitled, lazy. I was all of those things.
How were you, how did you have a career with all this going on?
I didn't. No.
How were you making, ends meet?
I had a lot of rich friends. My father took care of me until he died. Like he had no money, but he would pay my rent and buy me, bread and caviar. So all I really had to figure out was how to pay for my drugs. That's it. And I was able to figure that out. Especially,
and you weren't signed at this point? Or you had lost that?
Yeah.
You had lost the baby?
I lost everything. But I was very much like I had something, and I want to speak to that because I don't know who's listening to this, but I think a lot of people think that the trajectory to fame and success and beauty and wealth and love and all the things that I have today is one from one end of the spectrum to the other. But the thing that they don't understand is that on a spiritual level, I had that connection with the divine.
Yeah.
I had true love. I was loved in a way that there's no amount of money that could pay for or create. And so I knew certain fundamental values that I have not gained since. My trajectory has been more one of okay, I'm not going to be living in abject poverty. I'm going to be rich. I'm not going to be single forever. I'm going to find the man of my dreams. I'm not, going to be lost career-wise. I'm going to create something that no one's ever done before.
So despite everything that you had gone through and everything you were going through,
yes,
you still held on to those fundamental beliefs that you were loved, you had the connection, and you knew deep down that this wasn't your life and that you were going to create something bigger for yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I knew, but I didn't know what. Yeah. And I was very much in victim mode also. I don't know if you've ever done that
for sure. Yeah.
But I just thought I'm a victim. I was like, if you had it the way I had it, if you lost your mom, if you lost your whole family, if you had no money, because I remember I used to do law of attraction stuff. I don't know if you ever tried that one, but I would sit there and be like, okay, I feel really rich, and I was like, I don't fucking feel rich. I would get so mad because I wasn't rich. And so what I learned later is actually you have to figure out feeling that way before you get there.
Yeah, exactly.
I was
to believe and feel,
and it was such a stretch, and it sounded so hokey. I was like, how can you say that if I'm going to believe it, then all of a sudden it's like, no, it really is that simple. And all the truths of life are that simple, right? So, but I was unwilling. I was like, if you had it like I had it, if you lost your baby, you would be miserable and on heroin too.
So, how did you shift all that? You must have done major reprogramming.
Yeah.
But then how do you get to that point to even be inspired to do that? Or, I'm sure hitting rock bottom inspires people to do that, and definitely sounds like that's what happened, but what happened?
Yeah, I hit rock bottom, but I think that there was something in me, a will to... I had a moment, an aha moment, and it was about 11 years ago, because I've been sober for almost 11 years. And there was this aha moment where I was like, I'm going to be... I was 29 at the time, and I was like, I'm going to be 40, and then what is going to change in my life? If I just keep doing things the way I'm doing them now, I'll just be 40, but I'm not going to have the things that I really want in life. And in my mind, I was like, I want to, because I used to shoplift, right? And I was like, you can't shoplift a beautiful home.
Yeah.
There's just no way. So I was like, so this isn't going to work to the ends, the ends that I want. Or you can't, if I keep failing in my love relationships, which I then was, every single guy I dated, it was a total disaster.
Yeah.
And so I remember actually one time I was walking down the street And I was like trying not to text an ex-boyfriend, you know, those moments when you're like, just don't text him. And I like prayed out to the universe, which it's something I write about in my book. Like, it's important to do asking. I call it the law of asking instead of prayer, because I know prayer can be like a big controversial topic, because who is God, blah, blah. But the truth is that you have something in you that knows all things, whether you believe me or not. It's like irrelevant, but it's like, I know you get it, right? So it's like, I'm like, please help me, you know? So I was like, please help me not text this guy, please help me not text this guy. And then I'm, of course, because I'm kind of like an Italian mobster when the way I communicate with the divine, so I was like, what am I gonna get if I don't text this guy? Like, as if God or the universe needs to give me something, yeah? And so I was like, well, what do I get if I don't text him? And all of a sudden, I'm not even like exaggerating, I look up and it's a misty night in New York City. And New York is never misty. This isn't San Francisco. Like, it was like a San Francisco levels of misty night in New York. And I look up, and then in front of me, about 4 meters in front of me, is my husband, my current husband.
Oh my gosh.
And he and I were just friends. And I look up and I was like, his name's Christoph. And I was like, are you saying that if I don't text this loser, like, I get to be with Christoph? And I swear the universe or God or whatever you want to call it said to me point blank, yeah. Just kind of like, it's that simple, you know?
How long after that did you guys get together?
A year.
Wow.
It was like a little close to a year.
And you had already known him?
Yeah, we were friends. But I had to let go of treating him like a piece of meat. Like, I don't know, you know, like, people think only men objectify women, but women objectify men. Like, I used to totally meet my girlfriends and be like, wow, like, I'm gonna hit that. Or like, it was a lot of ego. And I had to let all of that go and restructure the way that I saw men completely. Like, they didn't validate me, or like, as I used to be the kind of girl who, if I walked down the street and if men didn't check me out, I just thought I wasn't attractive.
Yeah.
Like, I used that. And so I had to switch that too. I had to be like, okay.
It comes from within.
Well, no, just more like, ew.
Yeah.
Why is that even a compliment? That some gnarly person in the street just checked out my bod? Like,
that's
I started
a violation.
Well, no, not really. I was just kind of like, I'm hot. That's it. Like, the fact that they think I'm hot, that's kind of a duh. And instead of being like, oh my God, like, they think I'm hot. Like, stop acting like you don't freaking know that you're hot. You know? It's like, you're hot. Get over it. Move on. You know?
Yeah, focus on something else.
Yeah, there's more things to do. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, how did you get sober? Like, I mean, getting sober off heroin is a big deal. So, I want to hear that.
I found a really sweet friend who was like really into holistic teas and stuff like that. I find
like ayahuasca.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, like totally like
actually
yogi tea by Yogi Bhajan or whatever. Like, just tea. And like, I took Xanax and stuff to like sleep, but I kicked in 2 days. I just like laid around and cold turkey. And she took care of me during those 2 days. And when I emerged on the other side, I was sober. I've never touched anything again.
Wow.
Yeah.
And everything kept going up from there?
Yeah, I think at first it was like extraordinary because I was like, oh my God, like I'm eating a burger, sober. And like, oh my God, I'm having sex, sober. Like, it was shocking. And so that was fun for about 2 years. And I fell in love during that time with Christoph. That was fun, you know, sober. And he's sober too, you know, so like we have this thing in common. Yeah. And so I didn't feel like any temptation. But after 2 years, I was like, this is super boring. Like, this is not what I signed up for. And I think that's when the download came that I needed to really return to my father's work and make it my life's purpose. Yeah, because I still didn't have that endless bliss flowing through my body at all times. I still didn't have the philosophical means to cure and condition all of my problems in life. I still didn't have an ability to connect vulnerably with people that I just met, like you do at 4 in the morning when you're snorting coke. You know? So like, I wanted that, and I decided to find it. And once I found it, which I did pretty instantly, I just returned to my father's work. I started having weekly meetings with people who would study this work with me, and within a few years, like, I was high as a kite naturally. And once you have that, you have no choice but to start spreading it, and that's where my career began.
So now, I want to hear more about your work now.
I do these epic mass meditation experiences all over the world with thousands of people. I score the events with my own music. I give talks. People often ask me why I don't take up a career in comedy when I'm done with my performances, which I'm always like, I have a career, but it's always like, it's kind of a compliment, but I'm just like, but they're serious. They're like, have you thought about comedy? I'm like, I'm totally down to like host Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Like, so
you need to be on Saturday Night Live.
Definitely. So all I need to do is become like, you know, that level of famous, right? So people can be like, oh, she needs to host Saturday Night Live. So I think that's the trajectory that.
But how did you get there? I mean, are you signed, or like, it's just all, I mean.
Yeah, no, I'm not signed yet.
No.
I don't know if I'll ever be signed. I don't even know how.
Who signed?
There's no industry for what I do.
Industry.
It's like
you're going to create that. Yeah. You're going to be the one that starts signing people.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'm an artist. Like, I feel like
your own label. No.
I don't know about that. I definitely would love to be on, like, managed by someone who's a visionary like that. But I myself, I know my strengths. What I'm good at is not signing other people. That's for sure. It's really just making art and moving people to a new level of consciousness.
And then, but you're moving to LA.
Yeah.
So what inspired that?
So many things. I mean, I'm there all the time for work anyway, and to me, LA and New York are like my homes in my heart. I have best friends in both places, but it's freezing in New York. I have just had a baby. I have a real baby now. It's like alive, you know, and I just don't want to put her in a parka to go to the playground.
Yeah.
It just seems unnecessary. So.
Okay, so you and Christoph had a baby.
Yeah.
And I want to hear about any fear around that. Like, was there fear surrounding that with SIDS?
Yes, there still is. I mean, I'm horrified. Every time I come to her crib, she sleeps in a guava. I don't know if you know what that thing is, but
yeah, I have one of those.
It's a great little thing, and with the little stars. I just think she's dead, literally, every single time. Every time.
It's so hard.
It's exhausting, but it's also like fun because she's not dead.
Yeah,
but
you're like, she's alive.
I mean, it's really exciting. My heart is like almost, and I'm like, and I always have to touch her to make sure she's not dead. She's so amazing, and I've never loved like this in my life. Even with Ula, my daughter who passed away, I don't think I had the capacity. I think there is something to be said for a spiritual awakening that allows you to feel this full spectrum of emotions, both bad and good. That like it just allows you. There's an allowance, because I think before in my life I would allow myself some of the good feelings, but I wouldn't allow the bad. You know, I would suppress the bad, allow the good.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is that true love like has to incorporate both of those feelings. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So what are you excited about? I mean, your book just came out.
Yes.
Are you doing more stuff around that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the book is everything. The way it was written so that people can read it, but also can meet weekly and use the chapters. They're divided into laws that prevent you from enlightenment. So each law unpacks something that's working against your enlightenment. And you can use the law, see how it's operating in your life, and then work to live above the law.
I mean, yeah, we were talking and you were saying, because you've transformed on every level.
Yeah.
Right? Relationship, finance.
Yeah.
So how do you, and you were saying you like quadrupled what you were making because you knew that you wanted a certain level of support when you were having cash.
Yes.
So how did that happen? Like, how did you just create that for yourself?
I mostly just meditated and said like, okay, what do I need? And I looked at the numbers and I was like, this isn't going to work. So I looked at what I wanted, what would be my ideal scenario, what needs to be paid for. And I just shifted the numbers. I started bringing in more speaking gigs, I started bringing in more modeling gigs, and I raised my rates for my personal clients. And then the numbers just changed, right? And it's really about asking yourself, like, what am I worth? There's only one of me in the whole world. So, you know, this is how much it costs to have me speak at your thing. And so I've always been very kind of hardcore about that kind of stuff. So if we were talking about business, like that's something that's really worked for me, is actually being very grounded on the ground.
Yeah.
And I've done everything pretty much by myself. Like, it's not been like, I don't have like a big team. Like, I just got written up in the New York Post like a month ago.
Cool.
Yeah, on page 6 of all things. It's such a funny.
For what?
It said like, this spiritual teacher chooses to find enlightenment through shopping and sex. Of course, that's what it said.
Yeah.
Which is really what I do, but that's not the full story. They didn't say, like, this spiritual teacher who went through, like, abject poverty and blah. Like, it didn't talk about my history. It just said, like, I'm so lavish. So, of course, everyone thinks I'm, like, some entitled white girl.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that's not really the truth.
You're like,
but
they're going to look into it and see that I'm not.
Yeah, if they took the time, like, they would see that. And even if I was an entitled white girl, like, there's nothing wrong with being an entitled white girl. Or maybe the entitled part, no, but white girl. Like, I think people need to let go of their shame. I have clients that range from all the different categories of life. But most people that I work with that are born wealthy have a lot of shame around that.
Yeah,
and like everyone's pretending to be poor. And I'm just like, you need to like rejigger your Raya profile because you're not poor. Like, that's actually not true. And so it just feels like so alive when people are really just themselves.
It's so important to share that information, because I think you can't dumb down who you are or whatever. I mean, you're your own person, and being that way, you can give back. You can do so many things, and there's so much you can offer. So why not just focus on that rather than trying to be something you're not, you know?
Right. And beating yourself up and like thinking of the starving children in Africa as if like, okay, so when I was on heroin and making like $0 a month for a living, you know, or whatever, I made like $20 an hour as a caterer here and there. Like, that was my life. Like, was I being more philanthropic during those times? Like, no, I'm not any more useful as a poor person than I am as a wealthy. Like, it's just, I think people have really horrible, misconceived notions about this stuff. So I don't even know how we got down this.
Just page 6, being lavish.
6. Oh yeah, and of course, like, Jezebel jumped right on it and wrote like a nasty piece about me being some entitled white girl, which I was like, wait, what? Like, how much time did you take to research that? But anyway, whatever. Yeah. That happened, but many people messaged me after that and were like, who's your press agent? Like, what do you do? And I was like, I don't. Like, They just picked it up and they just... Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. People want to be in New York Post. I think so. I mean, I would. I have. Yeah. I always dreamed I would be on page 6. It was a really cool. I like society and gossip columns and all that. I think that stuff is really fun. I think as long as you're not like making it your god. Yeah, exactly. Just being part of culture and the hype, and you know, I agree with you. I think even like with us, with the wellness world, it's like, come on, let's just take a chill pill and know that, like, I used to be like, no rap, absolutely no rap. It's so bad. It gets in your subconscious and it's not okay, and I'm never going to listen to it again. And then I was like, but I love it. I love it for certain times, and I love that it speaks to my emotions, or that it reminds me of my childhood or certain things. And so now I just, you know, pick and choose or whatever. But it's just funny how we can just X certain things out and think that they're just bad. Yeah. Unless it's heroin. But. Well, I mean, even in that case, I don't look back. I remember I met with a friend of mine who knew me back in those days. And I said, oh, I wasted like 10 years on that drug. And he was like, I wouldn't say you wasted it. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, I just think you were burning some stuff off. You know, like you needed to burn it off so that you could become the woman that you are today. And how insightful. Yeah, I thought it was a really beautiful interpretation. So do you have a lot of the same friends? No. Yeah, you had to get out, or you just kind of it's weird. The world is really not real. Just so for, you know, like, it's not real. So everything that you become is what your life becomes. Like, you can't possibly have the same people around you once you transform, because it's not even the same matrix. It's like a different... Christoph came after I got sober. I met him when I was 3 days sober. Wow. It was like the universe was like, they knew my weak spot. Like, I always cared so deeply about love and wanting to fall in love. It was like my big dream in life. I wasn't even present to how ambitious I was. I certainly didn't think I thought someone doesn't have to come and save me. Like, when it comes to love, I kind of was always very confident with love. Like I was like, I'm destined to find love, no problem. I'm going to have babies, like no problem. And all of that was exactly right. Like I just was like, easy, right? But when it came to success, fame, wealth, visibility, and career, I really didn't believe in myself in those because I saw my father as my hero and he didn't care about those things. Yeah. So I was like, if I'm a spiritual teacher, I didn't know I was a spiritual teacher. I'm an artist, right? So like, if I'm an artist, but I don't know how to make money, I don't know how to this, I don't know how to that. And I had to like restructure all that stuff. I had to read like books on finance, like things I never thought I would do.
Yeah, like how do you even get through a book on finance?
I don't know, like I just was like reading them voraciously. Like I got so into business and finance.
That's
and
so great.
Yeah, I really like, it was fun because it was, I think, really a spiritual experience also is someone doing what they're not programmed to do, right? So if you're programmed to like be a doctor because your parents thought you should do that, and blah, 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 then like for you a spiritual experience would just be not to do that. Or to become like William Carlos Williams where you're also a famous poet. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's so true. Like not just falling in a path because that's what has been shown to you, like really just opening it up and seeing what is possible.
Yeah.
I think even that, I think about that with college too, right? I mean, I went to college and I'm grateful for my education, but I just always think like we're just, you know, go to school and then go to college and then get married and then do this. And I did that, and my husband and I have been together since I was 16, he was 17, and I mean, I love him, and we just immediately connected. I didn't follow this path. I just so happened that it also was this traditional path that people do go down. And I was like, gosh, how boring. I ended up on that path that I like didn't think I would be on.
Yeah.
But how wonderful, because I love my husband and everything's so great. But I just always, you know, my sister isn't on that path, and it wasn't that way for her. And I think that for me, like, she always feels like an outcast because that's not her trajectory. But I'm always like, no, like, that's not the way things are supposed to be. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to get married when you're young. You don't have to have a baby right now. And I just want everyone to know that.
Yeah, very much. I mean, there's so many options, and I think that it's also all about interpretation. Like when I see someone who's like 70 being like, now I'm going to learn Japanese.
Yeah, which is so great.
I don't know if that's great for everybody, but if that's what you want to do, like the saddest thing to me is someone saying, I'm too old to do that now, or I wasn't born to do that, my family didn't do that, or that's too hard, I wouldn't be able to. I mean, that's how it is with everything that I've done so far, and I hope to do more. I mean, I just drove for the first time. So I'm a New Yorker. I don't know how to drive at all. And so I was in San Francisco. I just did this mass meditation in a planetarium there.
Yeah, you were saying that. It sounds so beautiful.
It was epic. I couldn't see because I was on the stage, so I couldn't see all the beautiful stars, but everyone else could. And I was guiding them through my insane experience, which gets you high as a kite, scored by my music, all the things. And the next day, I went out to have dinner with the founder of that company. We were like hanging out, and we got into this deep like hangout zone. You know, that one where you're like driving for hours just listening to music and like, talking. So we were in that zone together, and it's somewhere into like, it was 1 a.m. We're driving across the Golden Gate Bridge for like the second time, and he goes, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't know how to drive, and he was like, what? And I was like, I don't know how to drive, and he stops the car and just gets out of the driver's seat with the door open. He's like, no, I don't think so. He's like, that's not going to work in this car.
Whoa.
And I was like, no, dude, like, I'm going to kill you. And he was like, no, you're not. You're going to drive. And so I just got around. And this guy's name is Ride, which is also kind of amazing. That's his name.
I need to, okay, this
so
is
I get out of the car, get into the driver's seat, and I'm totally good at driving. I drive all over San Francisco. He even directs me all the way back to my hotel.
I cannot drive in San Francisco, and I've been driving forever, so that's crazy.
It's crazy, like up the hill, down the hill, like everything.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Was it a weird feeling to get, I mean...
No, it felt so natural, and I was like totally afraid of it. I was like, no, I'll suck at it. There was one moment where I like looked left and the car went right, as you will imagine. Like I was like, you know, and he stopped me, but he was like, you'll get used to it. Like that kind of stuff goes away with time.
Yeah. So are you gonna, well, you're gonna drive
I'm
in LA.
Yeah.
crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Does your husband drive?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Totally. Everyone drives me all over the place.
Yeah.
Like I'm just totally like I've just been chauffeured my whole life.
That's gonna feel so amazing because when you're like 16, and so in California the age is 16 to get your license, that sense of freedom when you get your license and you get your car, at least the car that you're driving, is the best feeling.
Wow.
Now I hate driving, but
you do.
Yeah.
I just live in LA.
Yeah.
Totally.
But that's so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I just love hearing your story and the transformation, and I'm excited to look more into your book and also for our panel this week. So
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Thanks for joining us.
I'm glad we're both new moms.
Yeah,
too.
same. We have lots to talk about.
Mm-hmm.